We decided that we needed to put a new roof on like the old one, so we contracted with a company up in New Hampshire who built these kinds of pitch roofs. And they built this and transported it down here and set it on the old brick walls.
One of the big advantages of going back to the gable roof as opposed to the flat roof, it gave us two very large surfaces, one on the north side of the building and one on the south side of the building. So I got a rough idea of what the cost might be to put a photovoltaic roof on, and approached Gordon with that idea.
Dave Durant, the architect, expressed that Gordon had some interest in putting up solar on the roof, and we've done a number of these installations. I don't know that we've done one this challenging in terms of how high this roof is. We're trying to not power the whole building, but get a little bit of power to kind of represent, some of what the demand would be. It probably would cover typical usage of several houses. This particular installation is around 11.8 kilowatts, and you'd say a typical home would use 2 to 4 kilowatt. It's meant to power a portion of the load, maybe 20 or 30%. We don't know exactly what the load of the museum is since the whole building is under construction, but we targeted based on how much roof area there was, how much incentive there was from Massachusetts to do this project, and we went from there. For Gordon, this is a win-win situation. He gets some exposure to his museum for doing something renewable, and in the end, it's costing a bit of money, but there is a payback at the end of the tunnel. This project is probably among several that will pay themselves back in a reasonable amount of time. We have 44 laminates. They're from RWE, which is now Shot Solar in Billerica, Massachusetts. So they're a local product, and we get credit for that, as well as these are one company willing to work with us to have these special frameless laminates. You have somewhere in the neighborhood of 480 volts from these laminates moving down to the electrical panel down in the electrical room. And they run into inverters, and basically what the inverters do is they take the DC power of the solar and they convert it to AC that's compatible with the grid. So not only do they turn it into AC voltage, but they also synchronize with the grid. When the loads are really low, let's say on a weekend or some time when the museum's not on, the meter is actually going to be spinning backwards. And because this installation is relatively on the small scale, it's in the 10 kilowatt range, it's 11.8. It qualifies for net metering through the utility, which means that the utility has to average out the power that's taken and used from the grid. So during the off usage times, this is actually going to pay back, and this is actually going to produce power that's going to go back and maybe power some neighboring buildings.
We're going to make that part of the building, part of the educational process of going through the building. So when he brings a school group on board here, we're going to have a monitor set up downstairs which will actually show the function of the photovoltaic roof, how much it's generating, and where it's going, that sort of thing. So again, that's something I didn't conceive at the beginning of the project, but through the project that evolved, which I think is a big feature of this museum.